I got you into a Remington party. What's my thanks? It's on the hallway carpet. I got paid in puke. Lick it up, baby. I got paid in puke.
Welcome to Paid in Puke, a podcast where three women with names discuss movies about something other than a man. Paid in Puke is hosted by Annie Malone, Christina Barr, and Jessica Baxter. It's also a spoiler-filled free-for-all. You've been warned. On today's episode of Paid in Puke, we're discussing Maggie Gyllenhaal's 2021 directorial debut, The Lost Daughter, which she adapted from the 2006 novel by Elena Ferranti. It stars Olivia Coleman, Jessie Buckley, Dakota Johnson, and Dagmara Dominczyk.
Oh yeah, she's good.
Yes. That is true. I'm Jessica Baxter.
I'm Christina Barr. I'm Annie Malone.
The Lost Daughter tells the story of an English professor and empty-nested single mom named Leda Coleman, who goes on vacation to a Grecian coastal town and has a really weird time.
Miss Caruso, welcome.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I work at the beach house. Just let me know if you need anything.
Great.
Get up! Mommy, get up!
You don't have kids?
Yes, I have two daughters. Your mommy's big girl.
You're my big girl.
She's driving me crazy.
What were your daughters like when they were little?
I can't remember much, actually.
I saw you at the beach today.
I didn't see you.
I saw you.
The little girl lost her doll. She wouldn't stop crying.
Children are a crushing responsibility. Happy birthday.
Mama,
I'm working. I'm suffocating.
I'll give you 3 seconds to come back. 3, 2, 1.
This movie was hotly contested in our 2022 Oscar special. Right. So, how does everyone feel about it now?
Was Matt Fisher there?
No, but we concurrently with our Oscar special, because obviously timely podcast release, the X-rated boys came out with their episode, and they also hotly contested it. And I think Matt Fisher was
I remember talking to
Team
him
Lost
about
Daughter,
it.
or he was open to it.
I feel like I was talking to him and he was like, I didn't get it, and I was like, every frame of it made perfect sense to me.
Yes.
But I don't remember being contested with us.
Well, so we had Denise Rodriguez on ours,
Right.
and it did seem at the time that it was a divide between mothers and not mothers in terms of just getting the movie. Not that I'm sorry, that sounds so, in terms of feeling the movie.
I remember that I liked it, but I was kind of conflicted about it because the main character is really, I don't know, I had trouble.
You to say what you feel.
Just say it. This is a safe space.
You're not the main character. Don't worry.
Shut up. Hot Probs is on.
Oh shit, yeah.
I have trouble with it because it's like, she's a very selfish person. She's a selfish person.
I'm a very selfish person.
And
an unnatural mother.
I'm an unnatural mother.
I felt like she was very inappropriate at times with the people that she would encounter with, like I don't remember the young man who works with Will, and like with the man who was like the caretaker of the place, Ed Harris. I think she really has something going on with herself, like where she either like just doesn't give a fuck, or like I felt like she was trying to draw other people into feeling bad about themselves.
What is your damage, Heather?
Like how she did in that scene where Lyle brings the octopus and like he wants to hang out with her. She's always like trying to ask him about how he was a family man.
You married?
Not since the 80s.
Your kids must have loved it with the octopus. Sounds like a nice way to grow up.
They grew up with their mom in Philly.
Are your kids on the island?
No. You know, Leonard Cohen used to come over here from Hedron. We'd write songs together. They liked that when I told them. And you know those uni cells? I used to fill them up with cotton balls and send them out to Philly for their birthdays. I'll look out for some for your girls.
You sound like a real family man.
Yeah, I taught them all how to swim, except the littlest.
Getting him to say he was a bad father or something? I don't know. I just got that feeling like misery loves company, you know? Like she wants to drag other people into that misery. I don't know.
Interesting.
I felt like
that's so interesting.
I agreed with you about everything until you said the thing about bringing other people into it. I think that the stark contrast with her and Lyle in particular, her conversation with him is proving a point that she's felt for a long time, which is that men are allowed to leave their family and there's no consequences.
Right.
And women, if they do that, they're the worst person in the world. There's nothing more villainous in the eyes of society than a mother who isn't super into it.
Right, yeah.
And she wanted to have a career, and the only way she could do that was to actually leave, because if she stayed, it was going to be like her husband is on the phone, and so she has to be the one to deal with the kids, even if it's her time that they'd agreed upon ahead of time.
Someday you're It's clear. I'm working. I'm suffocating.
And like that's why when the couple comes, the hiking couple, to their Airbnb, this couple is just out free in the world, and her husband is like, oh, it must be so nice not to have kids.
Life is so different without kids. I have kids. I have 3 kids. 12, 9 and 7. They're in London with their mother.
So you ran away together?
Like, it's always like they're with their mother. The mother's the one doing it, and the men can live freely.
We're obliged to do so many stupid things, from childhood even.
Obliged?
Yes. What happened to us is the only thing that's happened to me since I was born that makes sense.
So it's funny because I didn't really think it was that much about her career so much, but kind of along what you're saying, like, I don't feel like she's miserable. Like, I didn't see it as a misery loves company thing. I did think that she has a little bit of a mean streak.
Yeah, she was being mean.
Definitely.
I'm so sorry, I'm so mean.
Well, now, fuck that, lady. I'm mean too.
And
or like when the flashback when her kid is like, Mommy, can't you kiss it?
Please, can you kiss it?
Yeah, sit down.
Mama, please, can you kiss it?
It's like, why can't you just do that? Like, I feel like she does have a mean streak, but the thing for me about Ed Harris and the hiking couple, what it showed to me was men can just reference that in very casual conversation. Like, oh yeah, I didn't really raise my kids. And that for her, like, when she, like, reveals that to somebody, it's like this huge confession, this awful thing she did.
We were talking about your daughters, and then something happened. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I left.
Oh.
When the oldest was 7 and the youngest was 5, I left. I abandoned them and I didn't see them for 3 years.
You didn't see your children for 3 years?
No.
Who took care of them?
Their father and my mum, and then I came back for them.
And she was only gone 3 years, you know, whereas like
Right.
you know, a man could say, no, my ex-wife raised the kids. Like, it's nothing, you know.
Right. I mean, I totally agree. I just thought, like, she has these moments where, yeah, like, she's a mean streak and she wants to be mean to people. I don't know, like...
I mean, she's not a sweet middle-aged lady, which is like, people look at her and they think, oh, she's going to be really sweet or she's going to be a pushover. I'm going to ask her to move when I really mean telling her to move, and when she doesn't move, it's like, what the fuck?
Right.
What is this cunt's problem?
So this lady also has to move. You don't mind moving, right?
No, I'm fine here.
No, it's just about switching umbrellas so that my family can be together.
No, I understand that, but I have no desire to move.
Hey, what's the big deal? He does this favor today, we'll do a favor for you tomorrow.
No, thank you.
Cunt!
Honestly, I don't even know what to say to you. Because it's just about moving down the beach a few feet. It's just fucking...
Or like how, even before that happens, Will comes up to her and he says...
Excuse me. Do you need some help?
She's just laying there reading. Like, she isn't asking for anything or looking for anything. Like, the way it's even shot, it's like you see her relaxing, and then off screen, there's the voice, "Can I help you?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" And then he's like...
It's just during the sun. I could move your chair if you'd like.
Oh yeah, I'm in the sun.
Can I move your chair under the umbrella?
Yeah.
And he is being helpful, but it's just... I don't know. The way that they assume things about her based on the way she looks and her age, and then when she doesn't meet those expectations, they get really angry about it. They get really, they get offended that she doesn't meet those expectations.
I see all of that. Like, I love this movie and I love this character, right? I literally have zero hot props. But, like, I also, one thing I love about it is, you know, you don't necessarily like her. Like, I see what you're saying. It's kind of great when she's like, I get what you're saying. I have no desire to move. Like, that's pretty great. But it is also like, would it fucking kill you to move? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I also see that. It's great. It's very, very liberating. And this is something I experienced. And like I can remember the moment. It was like in an airport with my 2 kids by myself. And it's too long a story to get into, but the moment when you realize like you can just live with it if strangers don't like you or are mad at you or are unhappy with you. Someone asks you to do something or you know what I mean, you do something and they're not happy with you, and you don't actually have to explain yourself to a stranger, and you can be okay with them not being okay with you. You know what I mean? It's like they can be mad about it and you can just live with that and move on and not have to be like, well, here's why I don't want to move because, well, you know. I love that about her. That, you know, she can just say, I'm not going to move, and they can dislike her over it, and that is fine. I mean, she can move.
Why are you such a mega bitch? Because I can be.
I see it more in the flashback when her daughter is like, Mommy, can you kiss it? Can you kiss it? I understand exactly what's going on. It's like, why do I have to do this? But it is also like, why can't you just do that, you know? And that, I feel like that is so much about what motherhood can be like sometimes. And I feel like I've been in that space where I know I could just fix this like that. It's like, why can't I just fucking do it, you know? I mean, I feel like that's what it hits about, something so difficult about motherhood. I don't know. I mean, I see like what both of you are saying. You know?
Like, just like where she's with Will and takes them out to get drunk and they shit on like the family, that's the big Greek family that's staying there, and she goes on this thing about like her daughter's breasts.
But Bianca Martha, it's funny. What I find most interesting are the secret resemblances. You know, so what makes Bianca seductive and Martha not, and vice versa? Well, they blame me. Like when I was younger, I had small breasts, and then as soon as I gave birth, big breasts. And Bianca has big breasts, and Martha has almost none, like a boy. And she doesn't realise how beautiful she is. And she wears a padded bra, and she sort of humiliates her.
And I was just like, what? You know, like...
She's absolutely... Okay, so she like, does lots of stuff
like
that I can't defend.
Yeah, but she is a vortex that sucks up. Anyways, maybe
wow, interesting. I mean, I don't feel like anyone is being sucked into it. I feel like they're all immune to it. They're just like this crazy lady.
Right. I mean, I feel like she's...
I mean, we're all probably projecting onto this movie. I think that's kind of what it is. I think it's a mirror in a lot of ways, and that's kind of what's so great about it. You can see yourself in a lot of places. You see yourself in the shadows of this movie. Like, the things that aren't even on screen. Like, when she's talking to the babysitter.
Yeah, I left Joe's mum's number, and I mean, I call every night at dinner anyways. And I left my mum's number, but only call her if you can't get through to anyone else.
She's like, if you run out of people to call my mother, but don't call her unless you absolutely have to. That, to me, almost like we don't even need to see her fraught relationship with her mom because it speaks volumes. Like, what I saw there was she doesn't know how to be a mom because her mom fucking sucks. That was my identifying moment. I did make mistakes. I'm sure I still will make mistakes as a mother, but I didn't have a good role model. I had, like, what not to do only and never what to do.
You had this comment about how, like, everyone is the last daughter, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, that made so much sense to me because, I mean, I'm not a mother. I never will be. Obviously, I don't know what that's like at all. But the part that really got to me was I had, like, this really acute reaction to Bianca flashbacks with her as a child. And young Leda, Jessie Buckley, she won't kiss the wound. And her child is, like, it's just, like just the emotional neglect that it really is so hard to watch. It sounded like Leda had a terrible relationship with her mother, or maybe had, like, absence of a relationship.
I thought it was like she grew up really poor. That was something that...
Yeah, it sounded like...
When she's like, don't take them back there. When she's leaving and he says he's going to take them to her mom's. And she said something about, like, don't take them there.
I'm taking them to your mom's, I can't have this. Yeah.
You're threatening me. That is revenge. You bring me back there, and I'm going to sink into the black shit of all the fun shit that I came from.
Yeah, because she says, like, after what I went through.
I thought that was also a reference to poverty or something. That's what I thought.
Yeah. That just doesn't make sense to me because he wouldn't take the kids somewhere where they wouldn't have the things that they need.
Right.
He doesn't understand the abuse that she's told him. She's like, you know what I went through. And it's like, he's heard it, but he didn't hear it. He didn't really hear it. And he is already, like, blaming her for everything. Mm-hmm. I just think it was that she had a shitty childhood because her mom didn't love her the way she needed to be loved, and therefore she doesn't know how to love her children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, like, if you were emotionally neglected or mistreated as a child, things with your own child could trigger things about that time, and it's just crazy, like, how these cycles continue.
And I feel like as bad as she's doing, you can imagine that her mother was so much worse, because she would never do the things to her children that her mother did.
And then ultimately her children did
still
go with her mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right.
And it's such an interesting question, too, when she is having that conversation with Nina. I mean, we're not at Meaningful Passages yet. She was like, had children with this man, whatever, blah, blah, and then I left. And then even Nina's like, who raised your children?
Right.
She didn't ever assume it was their dad.
Yeah.
What other woman had to raise your children?
Yeah. I've never seen motherhood portrayed in a film like this or anything ever. I don't know, like most stories with mothers in movies are these idyllic roles or
their mommy dearest. Yeah, there's nothing in the middle.
Yeah.
It is really nice to see a nuanced portrayal. I mean, maybe that was the main thing I loved so much. I don't know. Is just to see someone who is like a person who she's not a bad mother. She's obviously not an awesome mother. She did come back to them. When she's with them, she takes care of them. She reads to them. She's sleep deprived. She does all the child care until she leaves.
I have left my number and Joe's number and the after school at Martha's daycare and onto the pediatrician's. Martha's got a little cold. There's nothing really, but she should have a teaspoon of elderberry in the morning, and also she can have one of these afterwards because it's been good. I also left a humidifier beside her bed, so you can just plug that in at night. But she loves cheetah, so if she's a bit upset at night time, you can get cheetah. I made dinner for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I labelled whiches for which days. And I did soak some black beans, but I just didn't get a chance to. Do you cook at all? I've left the recipe in the fridge, so it's really easy. I just don't want them to go bad.
Like, even when she asks for time for herself, she doesn't really get the time to herself. Like, she has to literally abandon her family to get a break in the situation that she's in.
Right. But I have to say, I know that part of this, the comparison is there for this reason that people let you off the hook if, a man, someone else raised your kids. Oh, yeah. Oh, interesting. How old are they? I don't feel like the takeaway should be like, so a woman should be able to say that. It's like, it's actually not okay to leave your kids.
I'm not saying it's okay to leave your kids. I'm just saying I get why she did.
That, but when she's not a bad mother, I'm giving her a little bit of a bad mother thing, because even though I empathize with her so completely when she says children are a crushing responsibility, and you can see how it's draining the life out of her. Like, I see it. I don't really forgive her for leaving. I understand why she did, but and the same with men, when it's like, oh yeah, my ex-wife is raising my kids while I'm out hiking with this lady, I see why you would do that. I don't forgive that. I would hold that against a person. I think that is a bad thing to do. I think that's an example of bad motherhood. motherhood if you leave your kids. I mean, it's
Yeah.
bad fatherhood to leave your
I guess I retract that she's not a bad mother. Okay, she's a bad mother, but it's just that, like, men are allowed to be bad fathers because of X, Y, and Z. Like, it's really interesting to me that Lyle mentions Leonard Cohen. He's like, oh yeah, I was writing songs with Leonard Cohen. I couldn't finish the Leonard Cohen biography because it was so offensive to me, like, how fucking shitty he was to his kids and his wives. The mothers of his children. He was just so terrible to them. And I was like, I don't want to know this about you.
Right.
And so I don't think it's an accident that he mentions a famous deadbeat dad. Everyone's like, but he needed to do that to write all those beautiful songs. So it's okay. But it's never okay if a woman does that for any reason. Right. So, I mean...
I think Shirley MacLaine did that too.
Really?
She was just like, I'm not letting childhood take away my career, and like did not raise her kid. An old friend of mine read a biography of her, and she was like, it was like bonkers. She was like a terrible mother.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I just...
It is fucked up, but it's just like there's no
projected-
take-backs for moms. For Ben, it's like, oh, just kidding. I didn't mean to father children.
Yeah.
But for women, it's like, you're the worst person in the world. Like, it's just so much more heavily weighted for them. The crime is punishable by death, you know? Like, maybe literally in this case.
Yeah, and like there's so much judgment from the world and like parenting articles. Subtext is like, you're doing it wrong. There's so much... Well, kind of the whole mommy wars thing and like...
I think that's another reason why it just resonates with me so much is because honestly, if you do the best you can, you're still gonna be like shat on. There's literally no way to do it in a way that people will love you. Unless you like die in childbirth.
That's the best way to be a mom.
Yeah, maybe that's
And
just it's like...
unplanned, for like a rape baby or something too. That's like the best thing, right? There's also so much more importance put on motherhood than fatherhood, even in like the littlest ways. Like, I wish I could go back in time and really pay attention to what this person was saying, because like I remember a teacher once in like junior high, and I don't remember like what the context was, and it was a man telling this about like how much is put on the attachment of kids and their mom versus their dad. Like a guy plays football with his kid every day, you know, every weekend, and the kid becomes a professional athlete, and you know, the first time they get on TV, what do they say? Hi, mom. I feel like what he was saying was that like your mother is, how much of that is biology and how much of it is society or what, you know?
Yeah.
That, like, you have one phone call, you're in trouble, who you call your mom? Or what do people say, like, what, did someone kill your mother or something? You know, like, it's just a deeper emphasis put on that relationship than on your dad.
Yeah, and it's like, even if there's a father that does things and like, I don't know, I didn't have a father like that, but the mothers seem like more of like the life force, you know? And that's, the crushing responsibility.
I don't feel like you can ignore that there is, on some level, a biological element to become a mother versus how you can become a father.
Right.
It starts out wildly uneven, you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of commitment to even the first part. Yeah.
Right. I mean, you can be a father and not know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that doesn't apply to every, you know, there's kids are adopted or parents are trans and all that. You know, I know that's like a heteronormative thing to say or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, but in terms of this film, the characters in this movie are all biological children.
Right.
Biological mothers. So definitely, obviously, there are lots of different ways to be. And that's another thing, too, is like, you know what it's like to take care of children. You have nieces and nephews, and I really do feel like there's a special bond with pets. I do really feel like pets are children, like in a lot of ways.
My mom is my child.
Yeah. I mean, that's
kind of
a whole other thing, too.
Sometimes I feel like that. But
And
I know it's not the same.
I know what you're saying, though. I mean, even in little ways, a lot of people, as their parents age, will have to take care of them. Or you don't. Or you say, I'm not doing that, you know, but if you say that, then again, there's judgment. There's definitely a whole thing of, well, it doesn't matter how bad they were to me. I have to make this decision to take care of them or not take care of them.
Mm-hmm. This was like kind of recently. Like I was like, I don't know what I was frustrated about, but I was frustrated about something. I couldn't find something. And I literally said, Mom? like just came out of my mouth. And it was just like, I'm 44 years old, you know? Crazy how, like, that is the person that you call to.
Or, like, when you call your teacher mom. That sort of thing.
So embarrassing. No one will ever forget that. I never did it, but remember the kid who did it in 4th grade. Duffy was his name. And it was like, we'll never forget that. You called the teacher mom.
So Annie and I both said no hot props, but you've mentioned...
don't have hot props.
Yeah, I don't either. But
I don't really have any hot props with the movie itself. I just had a really hard time with the Leda character. I don't know.
I think that's totally valid.
Absolutely.
I felt sympathy for her, but she seems like she's owning her journey or whatever, her life, her living her best life in Greece thing in the beginning, and then you see how it just all like unravels. Like somebody that just doesn't know where they're going or what to do because nobody ever showed them what to do or how to treat people or kids or whatever. And I just felt like she was just selfish. The thing I kept thinking about too, like after I watched the movie the first time, is like your mind can want something for yourself and maybe you make these choices that you're like really happy with, but then your body, like, can you actually physically live with yourself? Physically? She's collapsing. Like, she's driving, like, she closes her eyes while she
definitely has a poor sense of self-preservation for some reason.
She has an absence of, like, ordinary care. Then she, like, collapses on the beach. She could have died. And it's like, time to start caring about yourself. You know what I mean? I just got so frustrated.
Yeah, I think she's very frustrating.
It was very frustrating.
I mean, I don't think she's well. I do think she's having a breakdown, but it's a lot of it is because I just understand how she got to that point, I guess, is all. The trajectory makes perfect sense to me. Would I have made different decisions? You know what else? It's really interesting how at first Nina sees her as someone to be admired. She tells her every time they have little asides, she's like, I really admire what you did, and I wanted to be like you.
I don't want you to think badly of me.
I don't think badly of anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew that. As soon as I saw you, I was like, I want to be like that lady.
She doesn't have the full picture. She just sees someone who can tell people to fuck off when Nina obviously cannot do that.
Yeah.
She's literally incapable of saying no to things. It seems like maybe even under peril because her husband might be in the mafia or something.
What you did yesterday was amazing. When you wouldn't move from the umbrella. But don't do things like that anymore.
Why?
Because they're bad people.
I'm not sure what all is going on there. But she definitely seems like she's in a situation where she's not allowed to be free.
I met my husband so young. And he's fucking crazy about me. And her.
And what would he do if he saw you with love?
Oh, he'd cut my throat.
Our love is God. Let's go get a slushie.
Maybe that is my hot prob, is like, I didn't see any indication in the movie, like, I mean, like, she's obviously not well. The movie ends, and I feel like, oh boy. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, there's a
I mean, she might die after the movie ends. I don't know. Well, like you said, she doesn't seem to have a sense of self-preservation, so it's like...
It's gonna be okay. But also that would be very me to be like, it's fine.
It's fine. I mean, that's a long-ass hat pin. That pin is long, and when they show it, it goes in really far. I don't know. And then she produces an orange out of nowhere. I feel like she's maybe not even really talking to her kids. I don't know. I wonder if she's asleep. She passes out on the beach, and then she has a dream that her phone rings, and she has an orange, and she talks to her kids. And she listens to her kids. Because what she says on the phone is kind of different than the way... The first time she talks to her kids, she's like trying to talk about herself.
Martha, baby. I was just thinking of calling you. Just getting from the beach. What's wrong? Well, why did you go to someone you don't know? It's not ruined. It just gets really dry when you dry it so much. I sometimes put a teaspoon of olive oil in. Oh. I'm on holiday. I'm looking out over the most... Okay. I love you too.
Her daughter just wants to complain and then hang up. And then this time, she says...
Go on. Tell me all about it.
And they talk to her and, she just listens.
Maybe that's a light at the end of the tunnel then, that she's wanting to know about that.
Yes. I mean, I think it is like that, but it also could be that it's a dream she's having and that's not even really happening.
Yeah. I feel like I see it more literally.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally have sympathy for her, but I just got so frustrated.
The magic orange is surprising to me.
Right. I kind of liked it. It was like...
She took all her stuff with her. She was leaving. I don't know. Yeah. I didn't question the orange. Let's just... But, it's interesting because there was a line where she said, I hate talking to my kids on the phone.
Yes.
But that was like when they were kids.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the guy judged her for it.
I know.
I love you. Okay. I hate talking to my kids on the phone.
What?
I hate talking to my kids on the phone. They don't like it either.
Don't say that.
They don't.
Don't say that.
Why? Like,
I love that line because, I mean, I think we're supposed to think he's a bad guy at that point. That's when she realizes he's a bad guy. But, like, when the kids are young, it is, like, kind of annoying.
I can't... Bianca, can you turn the phone around? I can't hear Martha.
And especially because when you're doing it, you're getting away for a brief moment of time. But you still have to call your kids and talk to them. It's a lot of, like, farting around. I'll still FaceTime my kids. I fucking love my kids. Obviously, you have to say that, though. Anytime you complain as a mom about your kids, you have to say, I love my kids, but sometimes things are a little annoying. But if you don't say that, it's like, maybe she doesn't love her kids. Like, it's not implied. But sometimes you're just like, okay, we're literally not talking about anything now. I've said I love you. I've heard that you're okay. Can I please get back to this brief moment in time where I have a break from parenting? So, like, I don't know. I really felt that when she's saying that, because they were really little. And then when he says that to her, it's just like, fuck you, dude. Fuck you, dude.
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
Like,
and to think there was a time when I actually thought you were cool.
I didn't realize that she started to not like him.
I think they, like, broke up right after. I think she, like, left him in that room and was like, see you later, dipshit.
I saw it a little bit differently the first time. Maybe I just didn't pick up on it, but she goes to this conference and, like, this hyper connection of something, like, super niche Italian.
Right. I'm reading the most astounding piece on Auden's The Crisis by Leda Caruso. And it seems to me that she has anticipated Ricoeur's recent thinking on linguistic hospitality. For her, hospitality comes in holding one's attention, even in crisis. As Simone Weil says, attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity.
Somebody's just saying my name, and it was crazy. He was saying that I had anticipated Ricoeur's work on translation and that I had anticipated Ricoeur's work on translation.
Leda Caruso is inside Auden's private mythology. Thank God, because whenever one tries to suppress doubt, there is tyranny.
That must be really alluring to, like, have that kind of connection. But then the second time, it seemed like her boss was in the crowd and he was kind of, like, looking back annoyed at the guy. Because it was like...
definitely seemed like that.
Because it was like, okay, he's targeting this woman. Targeting her, he wants to fuck this lady. And
that's how he flirts.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, okay, this guy...
But he might also be turned on by both her mind and her body, you know. But, like... He might actually think she's really smart, too. But he doesn't care about her as a person.
Your work is thrilling.
Thank you.
Thrilling.
That's just what he's into. Like,
he's working it.
Poetry
Academic
scholars.
Rock star.
Yeah. The first time I saw it, I kind of bought into his shtick for a minute. But then the second time I saw, like you were saying, it's his move. He's targeting her. But I totally also get it because it's like she just has this thing she's so passionate about and no one else in her whole life fucking cares about it at all. So she tries to teach it to her kids and they care a little bit, but not that much. And her husband, also a professor, definitely doesn't care. Obviously thinks whatever he's doing is much more important. And then the only other person she meets that gives a shit about it is that woman from the hiking couple. She's the only other person that takes an interest in this.
I studied translation, yeah. And comparative literature.
What are you working on?
Barely working.
Yeats. She's working on a Yeats translation.
Yeats?
No.
In Italian? That is like chocolate on chocolate.
Wow. Wow.
What is that?
Don't know.
It's Jordan. Chill of the crooked wing falls down on my body. It's just something I taught them. The crisis. An inside joke.
Brava.
And that's why that inspires her to leave, I think. Someone thinks that I'm something other than a mother.
Right.
Someone looks at me as like a whole person. Or at least, maybe not a whole person, but like not just one thing.
Right.
And I can see why that is so fucking attractive. I really
Yeah, I
can.
do too. I love the way that like all of the names are really similar. Like with the Mina and Nina and Leda. And
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I noticed something the second time around too. Will is wearing an Arizona sweatshirt. This is Arizona at the beach club in the beginning, and in a flashback, Leda's saying to her husband, "What if I couldn't find you and you're in Arizona?" or something like that.
Oh.
I thought that had to be a deliberate
Definitely.
thing, but
like just a thing that was sending her. Maybe it's just as simple as
they're
like
just like
that's why
these...
why she's reminded of things.
Yeah.
Like how she remembers losing her daughter when Elena goes missing.
Oh God, I love that.
And then like the doll reminds her of the doll that she
yes.
throws out the window.
Oh, okay, that doll thing, really, okay, that doll thing, she's consciously keeping this, I just
That's
like,
me.
why?
Yeah. That's, I feel like she wants a little girl to be sad.
You don't like her. I gave Mina to you because I trusted you to take care of her. You know, you can be very thoughtless. This is my doll. You can't treat her like shit.
No, she's mine.
Yeah, well, she's rude.
The power that you have over children, you know, and their emotions, it makes total sense to me. Which that's what I remember talking to Matt about. I'm like, I loved how she just straight up stole that doll.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. I'm like, it made total sense to me. Like, it was just to be mean. I really feel.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think it was just to be mean. Like, the reason was, it was to be mean, for sure. But in her flashback, she gave her kid her doll that she had as a kid that she took really good care of. Now, to me, that's code for I took good care of it because if I didn't, I would have gotten my fucking ass beaten.
No, okay, all right.
Here's why I think that.
Yeah, valid, you know.
From my own personal experience, I was in so much goddamn trouble if I didn't keep all my shit in pristine condition that was given to me by my mother or my grandmother. If I got anything dirty or broke anything, I was like so ungrateful, such a terrible person. Yelled at, smacked sometimes. Not like beaten, but like definitely slapped across the face. Again, I mean, might be projecting, but I could just see that history. So she gives this to her kid. She's not gonna beat her child, but she just thinks of like when she sees her child writing on this thing that is the very thing that she was not allowed to fuck up under severe penalty. And she's like, I'm not going to hurt my child, but I'm not going to hurt them physically. So that's why she has the mean streak. Because in her mind, it's not as bad to hurt them mentally as physically. She's like, I'm being a better mother by choosing to throw it out the window rather than smack her across the face.
Yeah, honestly, I don't see it like that at all. Like, I mean, and I know you're projecting, and I projected, like, my own stuff. Honestly.
Yeah.
It's great about this. This is about, like, how difficult motherhood is and childhood is, and we can fill in our own blanks in there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, for me, I saw it as, like, I took care of this because it was important to me, because it was something I cared about, and I gave you this thing that was important to me and that I cared about, and you fucking shit on it. That's how I saw it more like that. You know, the scenario you're saying is they gave you something like this is for you and you have to take care of it. For her, it's like, this is mine. You know, like this is my thing that's important to me. And that pain when something that you care about is destroyed or gone or something. I feel like she has this deep resentment, you know, over like the responsibility of motherhood and all of it. You know, that's what I feel like. I'm going to take that from you if it was taken from me.
I think she takes it to prove that she can do a better job of taking care of it than this kid. I really do.
I mean, that's like pretty...
I mean, it's mean. It's very mean. I'm not saying it's not. I just think that that's what it is.
Like,
it's
she
really
does get
petty.
a new outfit.
Yeah, she like cleans it.
The premeditation of it all.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking like, okay, obviously something's going on.
Yeah.
But like, I felt like she knew what she was doing.
Oh, totally.
And I was like struggling between pathologizing her and then like, no, she's just being shitty, you know? Yeah, they do have that line where Leda was telling Bianca, that's my doll. And Bianca's like, it's my doll. And I was so sad.
And I also feel like there's a little bit of, and I want to acknowledge, like, I project a lot onto this too. My experiences are just different from yours. So I'm not like saying yours is wrong, you know, I'm just saying like what I project on.
Sure.
You know, is I feel like there's a resentment of someone appearing to have an easier time with their kids when kids are so hard. I feel like it's a little bit of, she's sticking it to Nina, like, oh, you're on this idyllic vacation with your child. Let me fuck it up for you. Like, I'm gonna take the doll, good luck getting sleep again. And I feel like there's a lot of that in parenthood, like especially when the kids are little. People project a lot onto other mothers having an easy time. I feel like I'm barely holding it together, and then this lady's just out there with her 3 kids, like all in a row with her. And I feel like everyone's been on both sides of that as mothers.
Yeah.
Like I've definitely looked at people and felt like, okay, I can barely get my kids out the door. And I'm sure I've done that to people, you know. I feel like all moms have like, someone else has thought they're making it look easy. And the truth is, it's not easy at all.
No one's having an easy time. I do find it so interesting that she's gonna bring the doll back until she sees Nina making out with Will, and that's when she's like, fuck you, I'm not giving it back anymore. Like, she has it. She brings it to the house.
I didn't realize that.
She's really resentful.
But, like, before that, I feel like she does feel bad, and it's at that point where she's like, she's not sleeping, and she relates that she's like, okay, I feel bad because she's not getting any sleep.
Hey, sweetie, did you ever find your doll? Oh my god. Yeah, do not do that. Sorry. She's super tired. Why don't you tell the lady how we're gonna go and find Nenny tomorrow when it's not raining, right, honey? Sometimes you just can't handle it.
I know.
I feel like that is a button for Leda that's like, I want to help with that. But then she sees Leda making out with this other guy, and I don't know why she doesn't relate to that, because she should.
I think she does, but it's like you don't get to have it all.
She wants people to be...
Yeah.
Like she had that. I mean, miserable is too strong, but I feel like it's like she learned the hard way. You don't get to have it all, you know?
Yeah.
And so she's like, guess what? You don't get to have it all either, you know? And you don't get to have it all.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I feel like where you see the most insight into what's going on with her is whenever she's talking to Callie. Like,
Yeah.
I fucking love her. I love like every line out of her is a banger. Her delivery, I love her. But you know, when she's like, this is someone who doesn't have kids yet. And like, I think the things she says to her are basically like, you don't know what you're getting into.
They really put us through it, huh?
I thought you said you were pregnant with your first.
I am. What were your daughters like when they were little? Were they like this willful little creature?
Honestly, I can't remember much actually.
Oh no, you can't forget anything about your own children.
Is that your experience?
I just mean, did your daughters give you a hard time when they were little?
I just don't remember.
Like, you don't forget things about your own kids. And she's like, is that your experience?
Right.
It's so cutting, you know? But it's true also. It's like, well, you don't know because you don't have kids.
The part in the shop where the little girl is melting down and Callie's like, they really put us through it, don't they? And like, she's talking about little girls.
Yeah.
I just didn't like it.
There's definitely a couple things Callie does that I'm like, fuck you. It's an amazing performance, but there are, like, she is kind of a, like, I don't have kids yet, judgmental person. Where she's telling Nina, like, she's cold, put something on her, when this kid is not asking to have, like, kids will tell you when they're cold.
Right.
You know?
Well, every parent has had someone tell them that their kid is cold.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Or tell them through the kids, you know?
Yeah.
Tell mommy you need a coat on.
Mm-hmm. She says something to Leda about how, like, oh, maybe you just feel bad because you're missing your kids. Like, what? They'll never see eye to eye. Because Callie's like, I will always go on vacation with my kids. Yeah. Even though she doesn't even have kids yet.
They will, but, you know, everyone's a perfect parent before they have kids.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So, I mean...
But again, that's why I like, but, you know, button pushing, personal button pushing for me, of the judgmental, like, when I have kids, I'm going to be the perfect parent. and you're not the perfect parent.
Yeah, I just don't like when people talk about girls like they're harder or they're...
I don't know that she was specifically talking about girls or just kids in general.
I thought she was talking about girls. Maybe I just took it
Maybe. I really don't know.
I mean, she does seem like the type of person that would make those sorts of sweeping gender statements. I would not be surprised.
Well, yeah, just that whole family was very menacing to me the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, there's like this constant...
Everything is
feeling
so
of
ambiguous.
dread.
That is like what, maybe that's the best thing about this movie, is just how ambiguously crafted it is in a way that doesn't seem like it until you start talking to other people, and other people are like, no, I thought it was this or this, you know.
Where are your people from?
Yeah.
You know, like...
I know, that's such an interesting conversation. She's like, I thought you were from Queens.
I love that.
Where are you from? From Cambridge, near Boston. No, I mean, where are your people from? My people? Yeah. Are from Leeds. What ship you really? Fancy? No, it's not fancy. I thought you were from Queens. I swear. Not because you talk like it, but just like something. That's where we're mostly from. But we have family in this town for like 300 years.
Not because how you talk, that's how you...
Yeah.
I love that.
There's just a lot of really interesting exchanges that are, I guess, so real, right? Because there is a lot of ambiguity in life and interactions with people.
They're just like intimidating. Waiting near her car and like...
That part really stood out to Logan a lot, the like by the car thing. Because Logan was like, yeah, some of the latest stuff is shitty, but it's like she's not trying to like be scary to people. You know, like that.
Yeah.
I took that as just like we both saw it as just how sometimes men like to remind you that they could fuck you up at the drop of a hat. You know,
right?
Like, I could tell you right now. Actually,
Yeah.
You know, and menacing for no reason.
Yeah.
You know?
And
it's
like,
even worse when she's dancing, I think.
And like everything that Callie is like, I don't know, she's just very conditional about like, let me give you this thing. And then she's, how is the thing? How is the salve or whatever?
Or the cake, the whole
Like,
cake
she's not even
conversation,
gonna
my
think
God.
about
I'm like,
right.
You're not gonna have a bite. Not even one bite. Oh. How can you hold cake and not eat it? It's good, right?
It's really good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what to say to you right now.
Yeah.
Or, you know, and it's just like, oh my God.
Like that when that
every line is a banger.
boy walks by and is like, my aunt asked me to help you with your bags when she was just sitting there.
Do you need a hand with your bags?
What?
Do you need a hand? My aunt asked me to ask you.
No, thank you.
Like, that's so fucking crazy. That's when things are just so menacing. It's a working holiday, and he's like, kind of for me too.
Sorry, I think this is my car.
Did you get your car?
Yeah, it's a rental.
Excuse us. You know, Lyle tells me you're renting his place.
Did he?
I mean, teachers get to take the whole summer off. That's nice.
Well, it's a working holiday.
Yeah, me too.
Even if he's not in the mafia, he certainly wants her to think he is.
Do you
numbers or something?
Yeah.
Do you think that Lyle, when he came up and saw the doll on the balcony, like that he told that family that Leda's got it? Because it seemed like they were all just like glaring at her.
Yeah.
After
We're
that.
glaring at her, but I don't think so. I don't think he really registered there's a child looking for a doll and that's the doll. I didn't think he registered anything about that doll. But I also didn't know why they were glaring at her in that next scene. But
I mean, it could just be because, like, she wouldn't move that one time.
Right.
They could just be sore about that.
But it seemed like by then Callie had turned on her too then.
Yeah. She's just a lady they don't like.
Right.
Which also, like, relatable. Like, oh, we just hate that middle-aged woman for no reason. We can't say why. She just really makes us angry, and we want to let her know at every opportunity.
Yeah. That family was sketch.
Right. I mean, I guess just like I don't think he registered anything about the doll because when she does give it to her, like Nina did not.
She
know
did not know. Yeah, she's so
definitely,
surprised.
like-
That's the only reason.
She's like, oh, you found it.
What? You found her? Where did you find her?
No, I took her.
Which would have been the perfect time to be like, yeah. Like, what the fuck? Why would you need to be so candid? Right. But then it's so interesting because it is like such a revelation for Nina. Because she is literally just saying, I want to be like you. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, what? Right. Just kidding. No, I don't. You crazy bitch.
I think there's a lot about like what people project on other people.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
This is a tough one to watch.
It's so interesting, though.
For me, it was like harrowing for me.
Yeah.
I could watch it again, like, immediately after. I really loved watching it a second time. Because the first time, like, you know something happened, right?
Yeah.
And they show a little flat, Bianca, and then it was really interesting on the second watch, you know, knowing, like, what it was that happened.
Yeah.
You know, especially, like, her conversations with Callie or with Nina, you know.
Yes.
And when she tells Callie, children are a crushing responsibility. That sums up the whole movie to me.
Yes, it really does. Oh my god.
But I understand. This is a very, very fraught movie. So, like, I totally get what you're saying. Like, this was a tough one for me. I'm like, this was like... But also that, yes.
I thought it was a great movie.
I can see it being a tough hang, for sure. Yeah. For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's probably weirder that it's not. When you're like, yeah, it makes total sense to me that she takes the doll. Okay.
Yeah, I just
making
went into
sense
like
is not the same as saying I would absolutely do that, I feel like.
Oh, right. No, yes, but also I think it's valid to say it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Sure.
Next call.
I kind of like the thing with the orange. Like, it's the reliable thing she just nails every time.
Yes.
I love that people have a thing like that, you know?
Yeah.
But also that speaks so much to me, too, of, like, she still has the one thing she can really do. And, like, everything else, she's not nailing.
Well, I like also it's just, like, a little bit of a kid thing. Where it's
like
you
you always
your
remember
mom
that.
Yeah.
I do remember I used to pack my own lunch, but I wanted my mom to put the Fritos in a Ziploc because I felt like she did the just right amount.
Take it out of the snack pack and put it in.
Well, no, like it was in a big bag and like just put a handful in a little baggie. You know? I remember being like, no, you do it perfect.
That's cute. I mean, there's just so much about motherhood that you can't control. She definitely establishes herself as a person who... And it is selfish to need things a certain way. When you're a mother, that all goes up. There's almost nothing you can have a certain way anymore. Like, the things that you have to learn to let go. I feel like it's so symbolic, too. And how her kids also... She was celebrated for that one thing, too, by them. Like, that was one of the few things where they were like, great job.
Mama, please, please can you pet it like a snake?
What?
Everything else, they were like, you're not doing it right, you're not doing it well enough, you need to play with me, you can't lie and close your eyes on the carpet for 1 second. Mm-hmm. I mean, again, I was like, having a child that didn't sleep through the night for over the first year of his life, and you're just like, I love when Nina says, like, I'm, like, scary tired.
There's something wrong with her, she's not sleeping. At all. She won't sleep unless I'm in the bed with her, and if I move, I'm really tired. I'm like scary tired.
I remember.
Because I'm just like, yeah, it gets scary.
Right.
Where you need to rest, and if there's no one...
it's literally dangerous to like drive and not sleep deprived.
And if there's no one to help you, then you do just have to close your eyes on the floor. Mm-hmm. Like, that's all you can do to take a break, and then your kid hits you in the head with a fucking hairbrush, and you're like, ah! But you can peel the orange with one go.
I love all those moments, like, of parenthood that they never show in movies, like with the child that wants to keep their mom awake so they can play with them, and you can see the exhaustion.
I did learn such a fun fact today, I don't know if y'all knew this, that the author of the book, it's a pseudonym.
Oh, nobody...
Elena Ferrante, because she can't write books like that, and I mean, or at least she feels that way anyway, and I totally understand why.
I thought that was like a known thing about her. Someone like a few years ago tried to dox her or something, and it was like, fucking, why are you doing this? It was kind of nice because it basically got completely ignored, you know?
Good.
It's like, here's like how I did it, and here's how I know it, and it's just like, actually... We don't need to know, like, her real name.
Yeah. What do you need that information for?
Right. She didn't just forget to tell you.
Right.
That's so interesting. The anonymity allows you to say things that maybe you couldn't say, or tell a story a way that you couldn't tell it being known. And then people on the internet use anonymity in like all these shitty ways.
Yeah.
So it's double-edged, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah. It sure is.
Like, she's famous for the Neapolitan novels. Like, I think it's a trilogy. I don't know how many. I read the first one, and I was just like, But I want to go back to it because people love her. Or maybe just read this one. Maybe Logan and I will do a little book club.
Nice. I had never heard of her before this movie, but...
I know the first one is called My Brilliant Friend.
Oh, I've heard of that one. Yeah, I don't know.
It's about you.
Well, we could do some meaningful passages.
Oh my god, there's like...
I've already started underlining meaningful passages in her copy of Moby Dick, if you know what I mean.
So many.
I know, I definitely mentioned some just throughout.
Right.
I really liked the line right when she gets there and Lyle says traffic must have been bad and it's just that she like was toddling. Because that same thing happened to me. At Distillery we had like...
Oh right, you're like, no, we're just
reservations. I mean, we were 10 minutes late, which I guess is pretty long lateness. But yeah, the woman was like, traffic must have been really bad, huh? And I was like, it's my fault entirely.
Right. Well, for me, I've already said it already, that the most meaningful passage is when she says children are a crushing responsibility.
I was feeling a bit anxious. Yeah. Well, you know, the son can do that, and, well, maybe your girls, being away from your girls, you know?
Yeah, well, you'll see. Children are a crushing responsibility.
And I love that she says it to a woman who's pregnant with her first.
I know, right?
Yes!
I love that so much. And then later, Callie says, you can't forget anything about your own children. And she goes, is that your experience?
That was great.
Burn.
She has these very dirty jokes she tells sometimes that just don't land well.
No, they don't.
Yeah,
They do not land.
Like when she was talking to that guy.
You're right between them.
How old are you?
24.
Oh, right between my daughters.
I heard you're a professor.
No, I think the correct response is sounds like fun.
What?
It's a rude joke. Will sandwich. Yeah. Yeah.
I was just like, oh, this is like so cringe, but I like love I don't know. There's just something great about it. She's like, it's a Will sandwich.
I know, that's so funny. He like was not going there at all.
Yeah.
I know, everybody makes it. But what are you talking about? I mean, I feel like you're from Queens. Not because of how you talk. You're kind of a bitch.
Yeah.
Like that little hand gesture was doing a lot. Because of how you...
Oh, and then she was like, Callie was like, whoever took that doll should get brain cancer. That's oddly specific.
Whoever took her should get brain cancer.
Every line from her.
That is really funny. That's a very slow death, I guess.
And I like when she tells Nina what happened and she goes, how does it feel? And she said it felt amazing. And then she goes, that doesn't sound amazing.
What did it feel like without them? Felt amazing. Felt like I'd been trying not to explode and then I exploded. Doesn't sound amazing.
I really love that she said it felt amazing.
Mm-hmm. I love that she said that, but I also love that the way she describes it doesn't sound amazing. It's interesting. So much. Ugh,
Yeah, there's so much. And then when she said, you're so young and this doesn't pass, none of it passes.
Is this gonna pass?
What?
I don't know what to call it. I have depression or something, but it passes.
Nina, I'm so sorry. I don't want anything. You're so young and it doesn't pass. None of this passes.
Good.
Yeah.
I really like that she says that.
Yes.
Even though, like, I don't, like, that hasn't been my experience. I would feel like some of it passes, you know?
Yeah. It depends on what she's talking about, I guess. But, like, there are some things that don't pass. Like, just that, like, constant...
That crushing responsibility.
Crushing responsibility, yeah. It feels like an ache a lot of the time. And sometimes it's like a loving ache, and sometimes it's just pain.
Yeah, she says it was amazing, and then she was like, It felt like I was trying not to explode, and then I exploded, which totally makes sense to me.
Yeah.
You can try to suppress something for so long. I mean, I don't know. I don't have kids, but I can totally see that happening.
I mean, I feel like you could just say that about any pressure that's been building up for a long time. You know, it's not just motherhood. It's just anything that you're holding in. Like, I mean, it can definitely be being a daughter, too. Like,
yeah.
Holding in things that you needed to say to your mom for a long time, and then you say it. And it does feel like an explosion, but it also feels really good.
Yeah.
But there's no putting an explosion back.
What else does a suicide need, huh? Now, if you'll excuse me.
It was an interesting choice to not show her mother and just have her refer to her in, like, traumatizing ways.
Right.
There was just so much between the pages that you can really stick in there.
Yeah,
or just so much room between the pages for you to put all your own shit.
I spent so much time thinking about how your childhood, like, and the parental figures, like, shape so much of what happens down the line.
Oh my god.
In your life.
I mean, is there anybody who doesn't talk about their parents in therapy?
I don't think so. I haven't.
I can't imagine there's anyone in therapy who's like, my parents were amazing, actually, and I have no complaints about them whatsoever.
I don't know. I don't really have mom stuff. I definitely have.
But you're not in therapy.
In my life, I have.
Okay.
And I talked about stuff with my dad in therapy, for sure, but I don't really have, like, mom stuff, you know. I mean, I wouldn't say, like, okay, she was perfect and amazing, but you know, I don't have stuff that, like, is therapy level need. But I think there are people, like, I mean, it sounds crazy to me, but, like, that are like that. Like, my mom was great. I feel like that does exist.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, so my husband is a person who has no complaints about his parents.
Person,
but he's not in therapy, doesn't need to be in therapy, never has been in therapy.
I see. All right.
Again, my own, I guess it's definitely anecdotal evidence that we're running on, but it's...
Right.
that's what talking about movies is.
Yeah, it's definitely, I felt like I was projecting a lot, how I reacted to the movie.
There's definitely shit you don't say. Because you can't, you know, but, like, I would joke with my husband sometimes about, like, it makes sense why women murder their babies sometimes. Like, not for real.
I know.
Not for real, obviously. But, like, the whole idea of, like, I can see how someone would go insane. Like, you are insane when that happens, right?
Yeah.
No sane person would do that. But you can see the trajectory of, I had no help, and I needed help, and no one would help me because I was supposed to love this. This was supposed to be what I was born for, or whatever. Like, it was supposed to come naturally to me, and I wasn't supposed to need help, and I needed help. Then I was Michelle Williams and Shutter Island or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I still feel like that would have been so great, you know, having kids, and it just didn't turn out that way. You know, I feel like I have a full life. But I still have these moments of like, oh, that would have been really great. And what's the point of anything? You know what I mean? But having a baby doesn't give your life meaning. Or maybe it does. I don't know.
I think it's so interesting that Leda is not like a genius. She's not like Tar, right? Or whatever. She doesn't have a higher calling. She just has interests and things that she's like kind of good at. Like she wrote some good papers. And she's smart. She's not an idiot. But she's not like Steve Jobs. She's just a regular person who wants to have a life beyond being a mom.
Right.
And that should be okay. And you should be able to have that. I mean, it does literally give your life meaning when you have a baby if you assign that of like, this is my purpose.
I feel like that's something people talk about. Sometimes I do feel like, I don't know, you know, like, what's meaningful? I have great kids in my life, and I'm so glad, because...
You do, and you know what, like,
it's just...
You shouldn't have to
I don't want to
create a new life to be... As a woman, you should absolutely not have to create a new life to be a meaningful person in society.
Right, yeah. And there's so much...
I don't think you're talking about society. I think you're talking about, like, your own life.
Personally,
you know?
yeah, like, what's satisfying.
I mean, I'll tell you, like, I always really, really wanted kids. I always knew I was going to have kids, and I have kids in the grade. Like, now, on the other side of it, like, I can see I could have had a very rich and... I want to say, I have a very rich and fulfilling life now. You know, I do feel that way. But I also can see from the other side, like, you can have a very rich and fulfilling life without children. Like, I can see it, like, but I never would have been able to see that pre-kids. Like, I wanted kids so much. And I had trouble getting pregnant, you know, and it was like trying to show you that path. Like, you can have a meaningful and happy, fulfilling life without children. I don't think I was able to see that because I just knew I wanted it so much. But now on the other side, like, you absolutely could have. Like, it's just a different road to take. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm glad that it's changed for kids now. I mean, like, I knew no adults who didn't have kids when I was a kid. Like, I just didn't think of it as an option. Or, you know, it's great that kids now don't, I mean, hopefully they don't have as much pressure or the gender roles are not as...
Yeah, I think it's true. It's not like an ingrained expectation anymore.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you're going to have kids when you grow up. But it is crazy to me, like, that it's ever even frowned upon, you know, like, the thing that drives me crazy, like, when child-free women talk about society, like, looking down on them or whatever, you know, the thing that makes me crazy is that fucking Oprah is child-free, you know? But I feel like that should be good enough for the ladies who are looking down on child-free. If it's good enough for Oprah, maybe it's a valid choice. That just makes me crazy. I feel like there's a lot of famous women who don't have kids and they are still not willing to, like, to shout it. Like, sort of, like, it's crazy to me that there's stigma to it when it's like, I don't know, isn't Oprah like a god in our world?
Right.
Yeah. Or there has to be like a caveat, like Jennifer Aniston being like, well, I did try to have a baby.
Oh,
and it's like, you didn't have to try. Like, you didn't, I mean.
She didn't want kids. I wish she had just felt like she could have said, I don't want kids.
Yeah.
You know?
And honestly, I mean,
I feel she didn't.
Yes. From my perspective, I can absolutely see how you can lead a fulfilling life without kids because there's lots of stuff that I can't do because I have kids. I would love to be able to travel the world all the time. You know, I'd love to be able to go to New York for every Broadway show instead of like once every 10 years. I'd love to not do that if I want to. But I made the choice to have kids and that's what I'm doing until they're grown up and then I can go on whatever holiday I want at that time. It's funny because like I'm always trying to do my podcast editing and every once in a while I'll be like working on that and like Lulu will ask me for something and then she'll be like, do you wish you didn't have kids? And I'm like, I never wish that. No, I never wish that. But
yeah, most people don't, right?
Yeah.
Because they're there and it's like,
but,
how could you live without them once they're there, you know? And
but I could definitely see a life where I didn't and was doing whatever I wanted all the time, you know?
It took me a while to feel okay about it. Like, I think it was only when I turned 40 that I was like, okay, I'm on the other side of this. I think it's gonna be less, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, I guess I just always assumed I would have kids. I don't know why. I wasn't, like, trying actively to be pregnant or anything.
We're only just now getting to the point in society where you don't have to make excuses for not wanting them or not having them or not even not wanting them, but just like, I didn't do it. It didn't happen. No one should ever have to give an explanation for that.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
And finally, hopefully, it seems like it's turning a corner a little bit in that regard of like, you don't need to explain yourself.
I think the younger generation who's like becoming adults now are like, why would we have kids? You know? Like,
oh my god, that's a whole other ball of wax, but yeah.
I think
sometimes I kind of feel like, oh my god, I have so much time to fill. Like, it's just too much. Like, I'm not trying to brag or anything. I'm really not.
No,
it's
I mean,
a lot of
I
time
feel
to
that way a
fill.
little, you know, because now I have my kids are older too, so even when I have my kids, it's like, you know, it's not the intensity like when they're little. But also, I don't have them half the time, and I'm unemployed now, you know, and I've been thinking, I'm like, God, Matt's gonna like go back to work soon, and then I have to like fill some time.
I'm really gonna have to teach y'all how to edit podcasts, I think.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I hate my voice on podcasts. I would just edit out myself completely. I'm like, oh, shut up, you stupid laugh.
I definitely edit my own stupid laugh out a lot. Like, right there, it's going away. But, gosh, okay. Yeah, that's really funny. See, I don't know, it's so funny, because Lula's like, do you ever get bored? And I'm like, I don't think I've been bored in 15 years.
Yeah. How do you have time to...
Because if I have a second, I'm either sleeping or doing something that I've been wanting to do for a while.
Right. So this is what's called a lunchtime poll.
We have two lunchtime
polls.
polls.
We've never done this before. That's great. Like, choose your own lunchtime poll.
Yeah.
Love it.
Here are the two options for the lunchtime pool. Where would you go on a holiday alone? Or what is a weird little crime that you've done?
Alright. I'll tell my weird little crime. I probably have plenty of these. This is just the first one that came to me. So when I was a kid I want to say 5th grade, and I was in speech therapy because I had a list, which I still do. I just have to intentionally say an S, right? Which is very annoying, to be honest. Anyway, so I had speech therapy and they would just take you out of class. There was this speech therapist. He was this real hippie guy. He was probably awesome when I think about it. I remember one time he showed a slideshow of he and his wife on this backpacking trip. He was probably awesome, this guy. Anyway, so it was me and this kid, Danny. He had a lisp and trouble with R's, and I just had the lisp. So we had speech therapy together, and I was at the time still a good kid, and Danny was kind of a bad kid and was literally wrong side of the tracks kid. Oh. Anyway, so one day we come back to class from speech therapy, and I open my desk, the desk where it lifts up. When I opened it, I had a teacher pen in my hand, the kind that has the red on one end and the blue on the other end. It was a teacher's pen, right? Mm. And so I walked up to the teacher's desk up front, and I was like, one of your pens was in my desk. And she's like, no, I'm not missing any pens. And I was like, here you go, right? So then a few minutes later, Mr. Wildstein, the speech therapist, comes to our classroom, and he's like, Danny and Amy, come out. And he's like, one of you took my pen. Oh. And here's the part where I'm like, I don't know why, because I didn't realize it was in my hand, and I don't know why I didn't just say that, right? Mm-hmm. But I stood there, I was like, I didn't take your pen. And Danny was also like, I didn't take your pen. And I remember he was like, because Danny was a bad kid and I was a good kid, that he was like, okay, one of you took my pen, and I'm not saying who it was, but, how about...
It was definitely Danny.
Okay, so whichever one of you took my pen, just go back into class and get it. And it's like, I'll go down the hall, I'll go around the corner, I won't look. Just one of you, whoever it was, put it outside. So then I don't know why I didn't just say, because then I go in class and I go to the teacher. I was like, oh, that pen that I gave you, that's Mr. Wildstein's, right? And then I went and I put it out there, and Danny runs out in the hall.
Oh, God.
It was her. And I was like, no, it wasn't. And he was doing a nervous laugh, where he totally was what you do, where he was telling the truth, but it totally seemed like he was lying.
Oh, no.
That wasn't me. I didn't take your pen.
Poor guy.
I know. I'm sorry, Danny.
Oh, God, that's really funny. Oh.
I like that, whoever it was, he gives you the head start. I'm going down.
Oh, look.
I love that.
But I would like to think that he really was looking and he saw that it was me. That would be the best turnout of that story. Nothing I can do about it now.
I wonder. I really wonder.
Well, I'm going to go the other question of where would I go on vacation myself. I would go to New Zealand.
Ooh.
I'd rent a car and drive all around the island and I don't know, see volcanoes and...
Awesome.
That's what I do.
That's an amazing trip idea. That's a bucket list trip for me that I can't do until my kids are gone because it's such a long bucket airplane ride. That's a good answer. But I wouldn't do that by myself because I don't want Chris to come with me. So. Well, I kind of want to answer both, I guess.
Go for it.
I had a piano teacher when I was I think middle school, and she had a son who was in college or something, or freshman year of college, or he was older, and then a younger kid who was kind of my age, and I'd be waiting for my turn and I'd be hanging out with that kid, and he was always taking me into his brother's room because there's all kinds of contraband in there, including Playboys under the... First of all, he had a waterbed, so we'd be flopping on the waterbed, and then under the waterbed were Playboys that we'd look at. And then he also had a little action figure collection, but he was a college student, and one of them was Catwoman from the Batman the Animated Series. And I decided that as an adult, basically, he didn't deserve to have that. So I totally pocketed it. And then another time I was back, the boy that was my age was like, you didn't do anything with any of his toys, did you? Because he got so mad at me and he's accused me of stealing his shit. And I was just like, Amy, like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't even see it. So sorry to that kid if he got in trouble with his brother. I still have it, actually.
Wow.
Still have that action figure. I kept it all these years. And then for a trip by myself, I honestly don't care where I'd go because I kind of just want to lock myself in a really nice room.
Oh,
and yellow wallpaper for the weekend.
Yeah, yellow wallpaper.
Yeah. That just seems like really great to me. All my favorite snacks and music and pajamas and nobody else.
That sounds pretty great.
How very.
Let's see, I think I have some other fun facts to read. Oh yeah, here's one. Dakota Johnson dropped out of Don't Worry Darling to be in this movie.
Wow. Oh my God, good move.
Pick, yeah.
Good
Yeah.
going.
I have to say, I never am especially into her, but I think she's amazing in it. I thought she was crazy hot in this movie. Logan and I were both like, oh my God, she's like crazy hot.
She is, and her look, she's designed to invoke Megan Fox. So
there you go.
I read something like she gave Olivia Coleman a tattoo and like some other people like a home tattoo.
She gave her a tattoo?
Yeah.
That's
and like
it
seems
she's
like
a tattoo
everybody
artist?
gets enthralled by her and like she just tattooed some initials that were important to Olivia Coleman on her.
Oh.
Sounds like everybody falls in love with her. Like
I can see that.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
I feel like I've heard the same thing about Olivia Coleman, though, kind of. You know? Everyone finds her just so incredibly charming.
Aw.
She's awesome.
She seems very charming.
Yeah.
Well, the orange deal, the reason that I know the orange was like sort of a mystical orange is because in an interview, Maggie Gyllenhaal said she wanted there to be a little bit of magic at the end, like in being there. The Peter Sellers movie.
Wow.
Because he walks on water at the end of that movie.
Oh, right.
So I thought that was interesting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh, that's so strange in that movie when he walks on water at the end. Like, I remember thinking, what just happened?
And then I also wanted to just ask what y'all thought about the namesake of Leda, because of Leda and the Swan. I mean, even Peter Sarsgaard character makes some joke about how it always evokes, or no, she makes the joke, it always evokes rape.
Your name, Leda, it's very provocative.
You're thinking about the Yates. Very high-minded, it always brings rape to mind.
Jesus.
So that's just such an interesting baggage that she has, that her mom gave her this name.
What's the story?
Leda was a woman that Zeus raped in the form of a swan. It's like really weird.
Wow.
That not only did he rape her, but he raped her as a swan for some reason. And then Yates wrote a poem about it, and that's what they were reciting to each other in Italian.
I bet you know it by heart. In Italian.
Tutto di colpo, la grande ave, palpitante sulla ragazza, staggering girl.
Sconcertante.
Sì, ragazza, sconcertante.
So their whole foreplay was reciting this rape poem in Italian to each other.
Oh my god, wow.
That, you know,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny because the only time I've heard of Leda and the Swan is it's in Harold and Maude. Maude is showing him her paintings, and she's like, and in the corner, that's Leda and the Swan, self-portrait. Which is also a Hal Ashby movie, same as...
Yeah,
Interesting.
that is interesting.
I'm sure
Hal Ashby's super fan. Maggie, I guess.
I guess so.
But that's really all I know. That's literally
Yeah.
all I have ever known about Leda and the Swan is that Maude draws it as a self-portrait in that movie.
Well, Leda's the offspring of that rape. She lays 2 eggs, and in each egg are 2 babies each. She has 4 babies total from this rape, and one of them is Helen Troy, and the other is Clytemnestra, who murders Agamemnon, and then their other twins in the other egg are Castor and Pollux, but I don't really know what happened to them. Do you know what happened to
I
them?
don't know, they're like in Face Off. Right?
Oh, right.
I saw that, but I don't...
Captain Troy.
Yes.
Oh my god, this would be a real fun podcast.
I love that movie.
What do you know of this stuff? Like, what do you know of the Greek myths, Castor? Adrian Pollock's fake song. Leda in the song, Harold the Monster.
Yeah, I love it. What are your associations? Word association podcast. It's just interesting imagery. A lot of interesting imagery going on there.
Forced motherhood, or is there that's the
I
subtext?
guess that's what.
Forced motherhood, yeah, and then there's a lot of bloodshed that happens as a result of it as well. If you follow it on down the line.
It really do be like that.
Yeah.
Motherhood be like...
A lot of bloodshed down the line.
If you enjoyed this episode of Paid in Puke, please take a minute to rate us highly on your preferred podcast listening apparatus. If you did not enjoy this episode, no further action is necessary. Paid in Puke is hosted by Annie Malone, Christina Barr, and Jessica Baxter. Music by Silent Partner. Follow us on Twitter at PaidInPukePod, on Instagram at PaidInPukeSeattle, and on Facebook at Paid in Puke Podcast. Thanks for listening.
Lick it up, baby. Lick it